हमें अपने मन को हमेशा संतुलित रखना है। इसी में हमारा आत्म विकास समाया हुआ है। वै मे सर्वं ओम ओम ओम। आत्मनि मे त्वं ओम ओम ओम। स्मारे स्मारे ओम ओम ओम। शान्तं चिन्मयम् ॐ माम् ततस्थं केवलम् ॐ ॐ स्मराणि शुद्धम् ॐ माम् ततस्थं केवलम् ॐ स्मराणि शुद्धं ॐ माम् So let's begin with one unusual thing which happened in history when Gautam Buddha he had his son. His son was born, and the news was given to Gautam Buddha that you have become a father of a son. What he said is very important. He said, another being has come into this world and caught up into the wheel of suffering. So now compare these words with the ordinary individuals. We normally celebrate birth of a son. We enjoy, we distribute sweets. There's a great festival at home when son is born. So people normally enjoy. People normally want that had to happen. So as against that, these words of Gautam Buddha, instead of feeling that kind of joy which ordinary individual feels, he said that there's another being who will now have to go through the suffering of this life. So he had compassion even to his newborn son. That was the kind of compassion Gautam Buddha had towards all the beings. Now, in the background of this, we have to understand today's sutra, because what the sutra says is really reflected in the words of Gautam Buddha. What the sutra says, that all those siddhis which we have discussed till now, and particularly those siddhis which were previously discussed in the previous sutra which were discussed. So all the siddhis related to the supernormal perception, super powerful perception related to senses. What does it mean? It means all the pleasures which we enjoy through our senses in life. Because there is only one way we can deal with the external world. We can interact with the external world. That is how through our senses. So this entire complexity of the world, the so-called beautiful world, variety of world, the millions and millions of things which are there in the world. Imagine since childhood, how many things we have enjoyed, how many things we have seen, how many things we have experienced. Now all these were experienced and enjoyed only with the help of these five senses. There's no other way human being can interact with the world or know about the world or the external reality. And that's why many scientists and many psychologists and many biologists would say that we may never, one particular physicist had said that we may never be able to know the true nature of world, because what we are knowing is only an interpretation based on the sensory data which we gathered from the external world. So everybody is receiving this information about the world through five senses, and these siddhis talked about in previous sutra, they are related to the senses. Now, how these senses are ruling our life, how we are actually slaves to these senses, how these senses are actually guiding us to lead a life in a particular way. The more strong the senses are, the stronger influence of senses on the mind, and to that extent, they control the mind. That is what happens. And this is not exaggeration. If we look at our lives, that is what we do. We may have some things which we like. Now, if a person likes music, so that is the sensory perception of ear. And then sounds could be of various kinds. In music also, there are so many kinds of instruments. And even in the vocal field, you look at the singers. No two singers may have the same voice. So you might be hearing 100 singers, 200 singers, and each singer will have a different voice and a different pleasure giving capacity. Each instrument will have different pleasure giving a capacity. And all this is related only to one single sense of hearing. So someone great singer, like, I always liked classical. So the moment I talk about music, I remember, Bhimsen Joshi, Vasantrao Deshpande, such kind of people, or Begum Akhtar. So these are the names which I remember immediately on hearing about music. And this is one field of music in which many people have spent their lifetimes learning music, producing music, performing music. That is the sensory world of only one sense. Like that, painting is there. So many people are interested in painting, and there's a world, totally different world, where people can get lost hours together, days together, months together. And there is a big industry, perhaps the most important, the most powerful, the test. What all we do to really satisfy this test? But, I have often given this example that people who are fond of eating, they only just have to learn about a new restaurant. They will somehow find time. For other things, they may not find time. But for going to that restaurant, they will find time and they will go there, visit there. And unless they have tasted all the menus there, they will not be satisfied. So that kind of, that is the sensory hold on our minds. And these are just few examples. So fabrics, fabrics have got different feel, which is satisfying the sense of touch. So there's a different world of fabric. There's a different world of sensations of touch, tactile senses. So this way, there's a world which is there for us, and all the experiences are there from the using of the senses. So this previous sutra says, now these are all ordinary senses, although we know that our eyes have got limited capacity, ears got a limited capacity, but then, that the desire to test something new, it never leaves us. Desire to see beautiful scenery, beautiful paintings, it never leaves us. Desire to have that perfect note of sound in the form of music, it never leaves us. We are always craving for that. All the time, that effect is there of the senses on the mind. This is the reality of our life. So this previous sutra talked about supersensory experiences at sensual level. So we are already enjoying the taste of different kinds. Now this taste will be totally divine kind. Now, if the ordinary tests are able to hold our mind to such an extent, what will this divine smell do, or divine taste will do? So suppose if we do come across such kind of experiences, we are having very unusual kind of taste, unusual kind of sounds, divine sounds, which will give immense amount of pleasure to us. They will be, very, very so beautiful, and we'll be enjoying thoroughly. Now, what kind of effect they will have on our mind? If ordinary senses, ordinary objects, विषय जिसको कहते हैं. See, all these five, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. These are the five sensations. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. So the sound is there, touch is there, form is there, colors are there, then touch is there, and then sounds are there. So these are known as Panchamahabhutas. So we are living in the world of Panchamahabhutas, and these Panchamahabhutas are ruling. These Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasagandha are known as Tanmatras in Sankhya and Yoga. And from these Tanmatras, what will evolve is the Panchamahabhutas, which are gross: Prithvi, Jal, Agni, Vayu, Akash. So our world is restricted to these five, but we don't realize that. We think that every time we are touching something, it is new. We think every time we are testing something, it is new. So our satisfaction doesn't come. We are always craving. We are never satisfied with whatever we have tasted, whatever we have heard. So this way the craving goes on, and the mind is totally in the control of these sensory perceptions because we are always guided by them. So ordinary senses have that capacity. Now, extraordinary senses which we have experienced or which we talked about in previous sutra, what kind of hold they will have on our minds, that is only to be imagined. We can only imagine about it. So keeping that in mind, today's sutra is coming in the form of warning. This sutra is not talking about Siddhi. This sutra is coming as a warning. And it says that whatever we have talked about, these Siddhis, they might be attainment for the ordinary mind, but they are an obstacle in the path of Samadhi. They are obstacle for a yogi. So the moment I said that, many doubts will arise in your mind that if these Siddhis are such a big obstacle in our path, why Patanjali has described so many Siddhis? And why Patanjali has gone into such kind of detail? There's a reason, because Patanjali was, I think, perhaps the greatest psychologist in the world. He knew human mind so well that he knew that which could be the ways in which the mind will run in wrong direction and it will create problems for itself. So possibly to clarify these things, as I was telling you, all the Siddhis, you will be surprised. All the Siddhis are of the kind which at some point of our life we have wished for. Reading other person's mind. Who has not wished we should be able to understand other person's mind? We all want to know. In fact, we are struggling. We are trying to know what the other person is thinking. What is there in the other person's mind? We all want to know that. Vanishing, becoming invisible. Since our childhood, how many times we must have thought that I should become invisible? It might be fleeting thought, or it might be we might have given more time to it. But somewhere the Siddhis which are mentioned by Patanjali, they are representing some deepest cravings human beings have. Greatest hidden cravings. So from that perspective, we have to understand this sutra. And in that perspective, we have to understand what Gautam Buddha said and why he said that. So now what this sutra says, te samadho upasarga vyuthane siddhayah. Sutra reads, te samadho upasarga vyuthane siddhayah. ये सिद्धियां समाधि में उपसर्ग या विघ्न का काम करती हैं और व्युत्थान में ही ये सिद्धियां कहलाती हैं. So these powers, te word which is there in the sutra, te samadha upasarga vyuthane siddha. So te word is referring to the siddhis which were talked about in the previous sutra. So these siddhis are impediments to samadhi, but are accomplishment to a normal fluctuating state of mind. This is what the sutra says. So for a very ordinary kind of mind, they will be considered as big achievements, attainments. Just like a son is born, we rejoice and we celebrate. But Gautam Buddha did not celebrate because he had the deeper understanding. So for ordinary individuals, these siddhis might be accomplishment, attainments. big achievements. But one who's really committed to the path of yoga, one who's committed to the path of truth, one who wants to know the reality, one who's going after the ultimate truth, for him, these siddhis will prove to be obstacle. We have seen the obstacles have been mentioned in Sutra 30 of chapter 1. Vyadhi, Sthana, Sanshaya, Pramada, Alasya, Ala. So in that also one of the attainments, some of the attainments may be considered as a ultimate thing. That has been mentioned in Sutra 130. So again, Patanjali, he has already talked about it, but again he's warning us. So in the context of Siddhis, one should not get driven by these Siddhis, because ultimately if a person is seeking the highest, then these Siddhis will prove to be obstacle. I remember that people always, think today, in today's scenario, people think highly of a person who has got many disciples. And look at the world, what is happening. There are many gurus in India who are now, very proudly announcing that so many disciples they have gathered around them, and committed disciples are there. So in this context, the more disciples, the more attainment. The more disciples, the bigger is the guru. The more disciples, the bigger is the importance of the guru. Now, in this backdrop, if somebody says, no, one should not have disciples, so what must be the thinking of that person? So I remember once somebody in the class asked Dr. Jaydev, said, this institute is very old and thousands of people have come to learn yoga at the Yoga Institute. How many disciples do you have? Doctor said, none. No disciple. And then somebody asked, why? You think that one should not have this. Then when doctor talked about these serious kinds of things, he will always take support of the humor. And he replied to that person, you see, very typically doctor's way of saying and doctor's typical tone. You see, these disciples, they are like the millstone in the neck of the guru. So this millstone will make a guru drown. The disciple will also drown and the guru will also drown. So there is a potential danger in making disciples. After making disciples, guru is not independent. Guru has to take care of the disciples. Because you have to understand, in India, when somebody makes a disciple, what was the role of the guru? Once a guru accepts a disciple, then all the responsibility of the total well-being of the disciple was with the guru. How many gurus do that? Can a guru do that? Can a guru ensure the well-being of 10,000 disciples he has, or 5,000 disciples he has? So one has to understand that when the truth is there, when you're guided by the truth, are we able to take responsibility for one child which we have, or two children we have? We might be very big in money, we might be very big in power, but are we really able to fulfill all the responsibility towards our own child? And in addition, if we take disciple, what will happen? So these are some stray thought. As I am talking to you, lots of thoughts are coming in my mind, so I'm just sharing it at the spur of the moment. But here the point is that what is considered as attainment is not an attainment really, because there is a hidden danger involved there. So when a person is getting attached to these siddhis, he will be guided in that direction. So when he is experimenting with the sensory perception, then every chance is there that he will be caught there, and he will not be able to progress further. That is the reason why this particular sutra has to be always kept in mind. And let me tell you, anybody who's sincerely practicing yoga, he will definitely have something extraordinary happening in his life. He will have some unusual senses. He will have some unusual insights. He will have good knowledge. It can be anything, but he will have definitely something which will be unusual. Nobody can stop it. That is the law. If you are practicing yoga sincerely, you are going in a direction where these kind of powers can be manifested. There is every likelihood of that. So one has to, and I had mentioned earlier, it can take various forms. It could be, people trusting you blindly. It could be you say something and people just listen to you and start doing it. Any kind of siddhis are there. So one has to always keep these things in mind, that and many times, see, we have to understand, we have to be very truthful in this, that even when we are doing yoga, what happens, people have ordinary egos. Ordinary people have ordinary egos, but yogis have big egos. Why? Because I'm doing yoga. I'm special. I'm holier than thou. I'm better than you. So he is dealing with the people with this sense of superiority all the time. Now imagine what will be the state of his mind. Will he be at peace? If he constantly thinks that he is superior to others, in what way he is going to attain that peace which is desired, which is the aim of yoga? How he can attain that? So this is very important area. We need to look into it. And then I'll quote another great man, perhaps to make it clarify it a little further. I'll quote Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda, he very beautifully he said that the reason of all the ills and problems in this world are because there are some people who are in advantageous position and they don't want to give up that advantage. If these people were willing to give up that advantage, the world will become a better place. Now look at the statement and look at the facts. You see, the rich people, the business people, the powerful people have the advantage over ordinary people. The intellectuals have advantage over the ordinary people. Politicians have got the advantage over the ordinary people, and none of them is willing to give up that advantage. They want to maintain that advantage. This is at the state level, this is at the national level, this is at the international level. Some countries are there, they have got better advantage. America wants to rule the world. China says that I don't want to remain behind, even I want to come to that level. So there is a continuous, this race is going on where they are trying to gain advantage over each other. What is power? Power is advantage over each other. So it happens at the individual level, and then it happens at the social level. In social hierarchy, there are leaders, there are powerful posts. So they want to maintain that advantage over others. And this gives rise to all the ills in the society. This is a fact which can be seen in day-to-day living, what Swami Vivekananda says. So we have to understand this sutra in that entire perspective. Why siddhis? Siddhis are advantage. I have it, you don't have it. If I have something, you don't have something, that means I have advantage over you. This is what it simply means. I have some extraordinary capacity which others don't have. That is what is siddhi. What is siddhi? Siddhi is an extraordinary power which is there in the possession of somebody, which is not usually available, which is not normally available. So this person who has this siddhi, definitely he will have that superior power. Look at Kumbh Mela, what is happening. All the videos are being shown now where some kind of miracles are being performed by the sadhus, Naga sadhus. So all the cameras are on people are guided by miracles. And these sadhus are so proud and so, they are so aloof, and they are demonstrating those powers. Now there's a lot to think about in all this, whatever we are witnessing even right now. There's a lot to think about. So advantage will always give rise to misuse. That is the problem. So I'll give you a story of Nachiketa. In Kathopanishad, in my childhood, at very young age, I was exposed to one Upanishad, that is Katha Upanishad. So in Katha Upanishad, there is a story of Nachiketa. And I was very impressed by that story. Now, you see, it is surprising. And how did I get exposed to this idea of this information about Nachiketa? RSS used to publish one magazine. It is called Panchajanya. Panchajanya was the magazine which was published, Hindi magazine. So I came across this story in that, because I don't know who gave me that, how I acquired that, how I got access to that, but I read it. And then that was the first exposure. Then I always thought about it. I wanted to read about it. Now Nachiket is a 12 years boy, and in Upanishad, his father is performing yajnas. So his father is trying to, again, the advantage. He In that yajna, he's supposed to give away all the best things, but he was cheating. He was trying to save the good things, and he was giving useless things to the sadhus and the Brahmins. So his son didn't like it. He said, "Father, this is a yajna, and you are supposed to give all the best things. So I am your best son. I am your lovely son, to whom you are giving me." So he just wanted to correct his father. So his father, once or twice, he heard it, but he didn't pay attention. When third time Nachiketa asked his father, "Father, whom you are giving to me? Whom you are giving me to?" So his father, very angrily, he said, "I am giving you to death, to Yama," because he got angry. So now Yama said, "Okay, I know that in our family, everybody, says everything, does everything sensibly. And if you have given me to Yama, there has to be some good in that. So I'll go to Yama." And we do not know how Yama was reached, how Nachiketa went to Yama's house. And the story goes that Nachiketa went to Yama's house, and Yama was not there. He had gone out somewhere. So Nachiketa sat there in front of his house for 3 days. After 3 days, Yama returned. So Yama's wife, he said, "That Brahmin boy has come and he has not eaten anything. He has not had water, and he's sitting there for 3 days waiting for you. And he is a guest." In Indian thinking, Atithi Devo Bhava. And he's a Brahmin boy, and he has come here. So if he gets angry, we will all be destroyed. So go and please him and see what he wants. So Yama goes and talks to this boy, 12-year boy. And then he asks him, "Why you have come?" He said, "My father gave me away to you. So I have come." So Yama says that, "No, but when it is your time, then only I can take you. So your time has not come." But he said, "But I have come. But since you are a Brahmin boy and you have waited here for 3 days, I will grant you 3 boons. You go back to your father, but because I cannot take you, because your time has not come. But while returning, I'll give you 3 boons. You can ask anything." So this boy, he says that the very first reason why I was sent here is because my father got angry and he was performing yajna for a certain purpose. So first thing I want is that all that my father desires should be fulfilled. And when I go back to my father, he should forget about all the anger and he should accept me as his son. That is the first boon he asked. The second boon, first was granted, and second boon was asked. So in second boon, what Nachiketa asked, he said that I have been hearing about this heavens, Swargalok. What is the reality of Swargalok? How does one go to Swargalok? What rites and what rituals one has to perform? So I want to become master in that. You
What?
teach me that how to,
जूते निकाल रहे थे
give this,
फोन
all the
चल रहा वो आपका
offerings to God. Somebody is speaking.
सुशीला जी
I muted her. So just since ancient time in India, yajnas were performed. So in yajnas, the ahutis are given. Whatever offerings are given in yajna, they are for particular deities. So for different devatas, the ahutis are given, and ahutis are given with the fire. So there is an entire art and science behind this whole thing, and Yama was the master of that. So Nachiketa wants to learn that. So he teaches him. And then he not only teaches him, he also tells him that the fire which will take to the heavens, that fire will be henceforth known by the name Nachiketa Agni. So ever since then, that fire is known as Nachiketa Agni. If you read the scriptures, you will find when the yajnas are performed, Nachiketa Agni name will be there. And the third boon he asked, he said, now you tell me what is the secret of this Atma, the self. When a person dies, what happens? What he comes to you, what you do with him? Where does that soul goes? And what is the nature of this self? What is the nature of this Atma? So this is the question which Nachiketa asks. And Yama is very reluctant. Yama immediately becomes alert. It's a big trouble now. So Yama becomes alert and he tells him that no, I have already granted you two boons, and then one I can give you anything else, but don't ask this question. So he's trying to maybe perhaps taking the resolve of Nachiketa. So Nachiketa says, why? But no, it is very difficult because even Devas do not know about this. Very few people know about it. Devas also they'll find it difficult to know. Then Nachiketa says, then it is all the more reason why I want to know about it. I must know about it. So in different ways, Yama is trying to dissuade that boy, 12 years old boy, and then various kinds of offerings are there. He says that you can enjoy as much time in heaven as you want. You just tell me, or whatever you wish on earth, you just tell me, I'll grant it to you. If you want to live 1,000 years, then that also can be granted. So suppose if you want to rule the earth for 10,000 years, that also I can grant you. But don't ask this question. So now you see, if a person is given this kind of luxury of asking whatever one wants, then he may give up the original question and he may be satisfied with that. But not in case of Nachiketa. That is why he is a very, very, very intense, a very, very powerful character in Indian mythology. हमारी भारतीय परंपरा में जितने भी महान महान व्यक्तित्व हैं उसमें से एक व्यक्तित्व जो है वो नचिकेता का है. That stands out because being 12 years old he had such kind of vivek and such kind of discrimination. He said, no, wait, look at me. And he said, let me think about it and let me ask you, when 10,000 years are over, what will happen to me? I'll come back to you. You will take me back. And these 10,000 years, I am 12 years old, but I know that time flies. One day the 10,000 years are also going to get over. 1,000 years are also going to go. Even the heavens are going to get over. So something which is impermanent, I don't want to know. And particularly when I see you are so reluctant to give me this information, then I must insist that you give me this information only, nothing else. I'll not settle for anything else. Now, this is the kind of resolve. Why I'm saying this Nachiketa's resolve is because yogi's resolve is like that. A genuine yogi will have this kind of resolve. I don't have to mention, look at Dr. Jaydev's life. What all possibilities were there in his life? There was a time when richest people of Mumbai used to come to him and offer everything that he wanted, anything he wanted. That was the state of affairs at one time. The very rich people of Mumbai will come, meet him, seek his help, seek his guidance, and what all they could have done. So immense possibilities was there. But we know that so many years we observed that he maintained the same lifestyle, never got caught into these kind of attractions, never got caught into any kind of power game, nothing. Now that is the path of yoga. So that clarity has to be there. Now imagine if these kind of siddhis are there and we may just move towards that siddhi, every work which has been done will be lost. So this is true not only in case of the spiritual world. Don't think that only in case of yogi. In our life, in everything we are pursuing in life, the same principle is applicable. If we want to achieve something big, then we have to let go of all the lesser things. Then only we can focus on the goal and then we can achieve that goal. Without that, it is not possible. So this is not only applicable to the spiritual life, So finally, Nachiketa was given some information, and it's a Katha Upanishad, the masterpiece. Lot of information about the self and self growth and self development, and he also talks about very important teaching which he gives to Nachiketa is about Shreyas and Preyas, the Klishta Vrittis and Aklishta Vrittis. So this can be seen in our day-to-day life also. We are attracted towards something, and the moment we are attracted, we are losing power on that. We lose balance of mind, and we are not able to maintain sanity there. We are not able to maintain the strength of mind there. That is the problem with it. And uh, again, I was reminded of two instances more. I was reminded of. It so happened that in Buddhistic monastery in China, somewhere in north, a monk, the head of the monastery, the monk wanted to send one message to another monk, to another monastery which was in Tibet, to their south. So while sending this message, what he did, he called 5 monks, and he said, see, this message is to be conveyed to the monk which is there in the Tibet in this particular monastery, and you have to set out tomorrow morning and go there and deliver this message. So they started. It did cross their mind that it is such a simple thing. Even one monk could have done that. Why is sending 5 of us? But it so happened that as they were traveling from north to south towards Tibet, they came across many places, many people. Now it so happened that they passed a village and they stayed there for a night, and in a family, the young boy was sick, and then this one monk tried to help, and the boy died. The parents were very sad, and they wanted this monk to remain there with them. So one of the monk remained there. In another village, they found that where they stayed, the head of the village died that very day when the monks arrived. So the villagers requested another monk out of these 4 remaining, why don't you stay here and become the head of the village? You are very wise, and your advice, your wisdom will help this village in prospering, and you will be able to solve all our problems. And then yet another third village, they came across a family who had a young girl in the house. So they chose one monk and said, we are searching for her match and we are not able to find. So why one of you don't stay and marry our daughter? So this way, one by one, 4 monks were left behind, and only one monk could reach the ultimate destination. That is the monastery in the south, in Tibet. And he delivered his message. And after delivering his message, he got another message from this for return message. And he went back to his own original monastery, asked the master, why did you send 5 people? Earlier I was having these doubts, but now I know why you have sent 5 people. So this is the reality. Thousands of Bhagavad Gita says thousands of people began their journey on the path of yoga. But there is hardly anyone who will be able to reach the destination, because in between lots of attractions will take the minds away, take the person away, distract him, and the person will get caught into. So these siddhis are like that. So many, I don't have to tell you, you all must have experienced how many sadhus are there who might have started with a very good intention, started with very good objective in the mind. But in between, they are, getting caught up in the luxuries and the attention they are getting, and the disciples and all the, uh, show which is there. This is the story of many sadhus, and even Swami Hariyananda Aranya, when he traveled over India, all over India, he has recorded that in one of his books. You might have heard about this at Yoga Institute. They talk about this book. A Unique Travelogue is the book's name. So in that he has mentioned, he met all sorts of sadhus, and then he has mentioned that only very rarely one individual will really be such discriminating person that he will not get caught into the attractions which are there in the world, and he will go to the destination. The classical example is, I have after many years I remembered this example. Earlier, when I used to take sutras at Yoga Institute, when this sutra was discussed, I will always use this example of a person in Northeast. His name was Sagina Mahato. You've seen the movie Sagina? You heard of the movie Sagina? Dilip Kumar had played the role of this Sagina Mahato. Now in British India, tea was very important commodity, and tea was being produced in the Northeast India, Assam onwards, and the workers, tea workers, they had a leader named Sagina Mahato, and he was so powerful in that area that Britishers would not be able to influence his workers. Only if Sagina Mahato said yes, the workers will work, otherwise they will not work. So he was a big trade leader, and those days trade union communism was the new idea all over world. India was also caught by that. So there was a big mass movement, workers movement was there, and Sagina Mahato became a very great leader. But then after becoming leader, when he started negotiating with the Britishers started giving him lot of importance. So they will arrange his stay in the five-star hotels, very luxurious. They will provide all the luxury to him. And slowly, this his mind got corrupted, and then he got used to the drinks and luxury which Britishers offered. And very soon he became a leader without any influence. This was a great fall of Sagina Mahato, which has been beautifully captured in this movie called Sagina. It is it was not very popular because it did not run much on box office. It was not very popular and successful, but Dilip Kumar acted very well. I remembered that, so I just shared with you. Now these are the examples where luxury, comfort, all these super sensual things, they can really corrupt us, and they can take us down. So that is the this that is the only thing this sutra is trying to tell us. It is a warning that please understand this, that if the goal is different, then don't bother about these siddhis. Siddhis will come, they are not important, they are just. So then the question comes, as I told you, everybody will think why they are talking about it. They are talking about it because these are the signposts. When you go to some place, if you are walking, the person who has guided you, he will tell you after walking 100 meters you will see this, after walking 500 meters you will see this, after walking 2 miles you will see this. All these are milestones, all these are indications that you are walking on the right path. And that is what Siddhi's role is. They are like milestones. They will come, one doesn't have to bother about them, because when certain things are happening, the byproducts are getting ready, the effects are there. If we are walking a particular path, a person, even if mechanically we do this, see, if mechanically also we do this, what will happen? The muscle will develop. Even if we don't want to develop muscle, if you keep doing this, the muscle is going to develop. So certain things will happen like that. When we are on the path of yoga, certain things are likely to happen. So siddhis may also come, but one should not bother too much about them. One should always keep his goal in his mind, and one has to march on. That is the message. Quite simple sutra that way, not very complicated, but then we have to see that it is very pervasive kind of sutra. It affects our life, everybody's life.
You were talking about Dr. Jaydev, and all the rich people came there, and we used to have these morning 1 hour class of
Yeah,
of asanas, and there would be around 50, 60 people on the register. They He never kept any records of who's paying the fees, not paying the fees.
yeah,
And when I started taking the class, I started maintaining the register, and at least 30% of the people were not paying the fees. They were
Okay.
just coming, attending, and going away. And these were not poor people, these were well to do people.
Okay.
And he said, it's fine, it's okay. And there were people who couldn't afford, even they were allowed to come. So he was that way, not at all money minded. The fees was just 100 rupees when I had joined. So in 100 rupees, one could attend 5 days of class. So it came to around 21, 22 sessions a month for 100 rupees. And it is, and we used to tell him कि डॉक्टर साहब फीस बढ़ाओ. तो बोलते हैं तेरे को पैसा चाहिए क्या? मैंने कहा नहीं, मेरे को तो नहीं चाहिए. तो बोले अभी तक चल रहा है ना इंस्टीट्यूट, आगे भी चलेगा, तो ठीक है जो भी है. तो it's
Yeah, it's very important sharing, Ajay.
we were very fortunate to have him.
Yes.
Otherwise, तो so-called spiritual giants, so-called, have acres and acres of land and what all they have and what all they are doing. So we were very fortunate, I think.
Is there any sharing by someone, or if questions are there?
Namaste, sir.
Namaste.
Pranam,
Pranam.
sir.
Pranam.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Since a long time, and I think today is it's a good opportunity to ask this.
Yeah.
So, as a practitioner, as a seeker, as a student of yoga, when we see great teachers, gurus, the ones that guide the society, when they get corrupted, when they get full of ego, and how to keep compassion, how to keep the Maitri Bhavana, the compassion, and see good in them as well. Because this is a very sensitive thing for a student, for a seeker, when, especially when you have a lot of faith on someone, and when that teacher doesn't stay up to your expectation, how to practice certain techniques or whatever maybe it's given in Upanishads or Yoga Sutras, so that we don't get our mind polluted.
See, your question contained the answer. You used the word compassion. Compassion is
How?
the key. Compassion is the key. See, what happens is that when the moment we feel like criticizing such individuals, or we start blaming them, or we start feeling wrong about them, or we start so sort of criticizing in public, we have to also become aware of our own desires and our own weaknesses. And the line of thinking you asked about a technique. So the technique could be, the kleshas are operative in all of us in equal manner. None of us is an exception to that. We all are subject to kleshas in some way or the other. In some respects, an individual may be guided more by the raga, another individual might be guided by dvesha, yet another individual might be guided by abhinivesha, and some of us might be guided by ahankar or ego or asmita. Avidya is pervasive. It is there in all of us. So at that time, when such thought comes, if we have faith in someone and that faith is broken, then instead of criticizing him, we can just accept, and then we can believe in the destiny, and we have to believe in the karmas. And we are at that time, if the thoughts come that we should criticize, we should think like, I am also subject to these kleshas. They are also subject to these kleshas. As I have desires, so they have desire. As I have weaknesses, because look at our own selves. We also have so many kinds of weaknesses. When we criticize somebody, we have to understand that, and most of the time, psychological principle is that whatever shortcomings we see in others might be there in us also. We lose awareness of that. If we maintain that awareness, then we will allow the things to be, because world is too big. We can't intervene. We don't have where we can intervene within our limited area of influence, around us, within us. Outside we don't have. Other person's mind we cannot control. Other person's thoughts we cannot control. If we try to do that, we will be miserable. We will be always sorry. We can't do that. So we have to just accept things as they are, and leave it to destiny, leave it to karma. When the time comes, everyone has to realize that what is wrong and where it is going wrong. So course correction will take care and everybody is on their own journey. We cannot complete journey for another person. We have to complete our own journey. So only thing is, we have to ensure that we are going on the path which we have decided for ourselves. We are not deviating from that. If we can do that, then nothing else matters, and we don't have to really bother about the other people at all. World is going on the way, right since the time of Rama and Mahabharata, it has been going on the same way. No change. Since the
Yes,
time
sir.
of
Thank you
Buddha,
very much.
since the time of Buddha also faced all that. I started
Right.
with the example of Buddha. So people used to behave that way, and he was never affected by that. People abused him. So many abuses were hurled at him, and then he did not lose his composure. Some people asked him, how you can maintain that cool? He said, what they are giving me is not needed by me. I don't want that. So why should I take that? They are doing what they are supposed to do. And there is a beautiful instance which Ajay also talked about it once, I think. Ramakrishna's example is there. Once he was taking in bath in the river, and one scorpion, he was drowning. So Ramakrishna Paramahansa tried to save that scorpion, and the scorpion was trying to what bite him. Once it happened, twice it happened, thrice it happened. Then bystander, he asked him, why you are doing that? Let him drown. He said, no, he's acting according to his dharma or his nature, and I am acting according to my nature. And then he ultimately took out the scorpion and put it to safety. So this is the example of Ramakrishna Paramahansa. That should be the attitude. That is the most correct attitude when dealing with others. Let them act according to their nature. Let us act according to our nature. Let us be true to our own nature.
इसमें ना एक और ऐसे ही व्हाट्सएप आया था कि something similar, like a person was trying to save something, some insect or something, it was biting. So what was suggested is, instead of holding it in the hand, take a stick and save him.
Yeah.
So that you are saving him, yet you're protecting yourself.
Yeah, that is the normal approach. Yes.
Yeah, like, you save him, even though he's a scorpion, but then you take care of yourself too.
Yeah.
So you are on the safe side. So that appealed to me, like, ऐसा अगर कर लें तो it's all the more better.
Yeah, if it is possible, why not?
Yeah. मतलब वो सोच भी कितनी डीप और कितनी आउट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड है कि like here, तो even if my wife shouts at me, then she's had it, like she cannot shout at me. It's that way. क्या mindset है उस आदमी का, like it's unimaginable.
ठीक है. We'll leave it here.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Namaste.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.